welcome to TA from LA. Lindsey Rhodes, Dan Helling, and we are now just 4 days away from real-life playoff football. So much to talk about that we're going three wide with our analysts, Sean O'Hara, Reggie Wayne, and Chargers safety Trey Boston, all in studio. I know it is hard to go three wide when you have O'Hara there. He takes up a lot of room, but we're doing it anyway. And you're not kidding about there being so much to talk about. We will get to the games, but how about this? Marvin Lewis is coming back for a 16th season as Bengals head coach, and contractually speaking, a 17th season as well. The 15-year veteran of the Cincinnati sideline, who has yet to win a playoff game with the team, signing a 2-year extension today after weeks of speculation that 2017 would be his last year with the team. So how did the tide shift in this direction? Ian Rappaport is with us now. What are you hearing, Ian?
Well, all along, when so many of us left Marvin Lewis for dead and thought it was going to be basically a mutual parting of the ways between Lewis and between Bengals owner Mike Brown, sources close to Marvin Lewis said, just hang on a second. First of all, the two do have a close relationship, and Lewis is going to get the chance after the season to state his case and figure out which direction they are going to go. They have been meeting for several days and now sign a 2-year extension to keep him with the Bengals. Meanwhile, Marvin Lewis has several staff decisions to make. Basically, everyone is out of contract coming up. They got to get that together. But what we do know, Marvin Lewis not going anywhere in Cincinnati.
0-7 in the postseason. No other head coach in NFL history has coached that many playoff games without a win. Of course, you could look at that a different way as we turn now to welcome in Reggie Wayne. Reggie, you could say that he at least has them as a playoff contender somewhat regularly, though not this year, and that is more than they were before him. What do you make of this news?
I think they like this roster, but not everybody can coach the guys on this roster. It's kind of hard to coach Vontaze Burfict, Adam Jones, Jeremy Hill. Those are some unique guys. So they want to keep everybody under that same circle, but those guys, Vance Joseph, Jay Gruden, Hugh Jackson, those guys end up re-signing or staying with their teams, former teams. So I think the ex-coach hang on just a little bit longer until one of these guys, are available. And then once they're available, they slide them right into the fold.
One could argue that him being the right coach for these guys is debatable, seeing as how they're not getting over the hump with these guys. So, again, the top story, Marvin Lewis is coming back for 2 more years, contractually speaking. Meanwhile, a former quarterback of his, Dan, is calling it quits.
That's right. Just a day after losing their head coach to retirement, the Cardinals losing their quarterback as well, 38-year-old Carson Palmer, calling it quits after 15 seasons. Palmer was a 3-time Pro Bowler during his time with the Bengals, Raiders, and the Cardinals. Ian is back with us now. Palmer calling it quits, something that Arizona was prepared for this time around, since they were maybe worried a little bit about it last year as well.
Yeah, they definitely knew it was coming. When you spoke to people close to Carson Palmer, they knew it was coming as well. His body simply had been through enough, multiple injuries, and despite all that, a stellar 15-year career, earned $172.5 million, so he did just fine for himself. The Cardinals were moving on this year, trying to find a replacement for him, trying to find someone who would be their franchise quarterback for the future. They hoped to hang on to Bruce Arians, but they knew that either way, Carson Palmer was most likely walking out the door. He did that today, officially posting a letter on the team's Twitter account saying to fans, among other things, he would know when it is time, and simply, Dan, it is time.
All right, thank you, Ian. Back with you in just a moment. Now, one of the worst-kept secrets in NFL history, John Gruden saying today that he thinks he's being considered for the Raiders head coaching job, even though it's been widely reported for the last 2 days by Ian and everybody else that Gruden will be the Raiders' next head coach. Gruden told the Bay Area News Group that it is his understanding the team was interviewing candidates this week, and they will make a decision early next week. As for some other coaching news today, Josh McDaniels going to be interviewing with Indianapolis on Thursday. The Broncos have decided to retain their offensive coordinator, Bill Musgrave. Arizona going to interview in-house candidate, defensive coordinator James Bettcher. And Detroit slated to interview Pat Shurmur for their head coaching position. All right, back with Ian now for some more coaching news. The Steelers said that offensive coordinator Todd Haley, who could very well be a head coaching candidate here, returned to work after what they are calling a fall. But there's a little more to the story. What can you tell us?
There is a little more to the story. I'm told that Todd Haley was actually involved in 2 instances on New Year's Eve at a Pittsburgh area bar, actually right near the stadium. First of all, according to a Pittsburgh police spokesman, there was a minor scuffle involving Todd Haley's wife. That happened inside the bar. There were no injuries for Haley there. Outside the bar, I'm told, Haley was shoved to the ground by a person who has not yet been identified. At that point, he suffered an injury to his hip, and it is not known at this point whether or not Haley is going to be able to be on the sidelines or if he'll have to be in the booth for the playoff game coming up in a couple weeks. Police have been involved and are looking into this.
Haley been the offensive coordinator of Pittsburgh since 2012. Thank you, Ian.
Now, as for the games this week, we've got 8 teams in action this weekend. 2 games per conference, 2 games per day. The AFC games both in the early slots. Titans Chiefs at 4:35 on Saturday. Bills Jags at